First of all, let's delve into this concept of the circular economy. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about what you mean there?
Yeah, well, yes, and I'm doing this in my company, and we're also talking about it through some of our advocacy work for oil and gas at Modern Miracle Network. But fundamentally, we're just saying, let's use the principle of the 3 Rs. We can reduce emissions. This is about oil and gas CO2 emissions. We can reduce those emissions both in the production and in the consumption with more efficiency, and that's been happening quite rapidly. A lot of people have seen that in their own personal lives with more, energy efficient furnaces, et cetera, et cetera. The new idea that I think a lot of people are not seeing is the idea that we can also recycle the emissions. The CO2 turns out to be a building block for so many organic chemistry products, industrial products, personal products, toothpaste, alcohol, but also magnesium carbonates and calcium carbonates and ethanols, methanols, all kinds of, I can list off 15, 20 of these different products that people are making right now. So we can also capture and recycle the CO2 into valuable products. So it goes from being a waste product to being a valuable feedstock. And the 3rd R would be return. We can capture those emissions and return them back under the ground. And so the potential is there. A lot of potential with today's technology, even more in the future. The potential is there for us to reduce the emissions, in theory, 100% of the emissions from oil and gas through the 3 Rs. And really, ultimately, we're talking about transforming our energy into a zero emissions product, which we think is actually going to be much more and much better than transition off of it.
So how does this work? Does the technology exist to recycle the CO2, or is this still being worked on?
Yeah, well, isn't that interesting? So the organic chemistry has been well understood for a long time. It's more just the issue that when you take a hydrocarbon atom, so it's a carbon and hydrogen atom, and you split that apart, whether you do it through burning gas in your furnace, natural gas in your furnace, or gasoline in your car, you're splitting those carbon and hydrogen atoms. That releases energy. But that process can easily be reversed. The problem, of course, is when you take carbon and hydrogen atoms and you put them back together, because they split into H2O and CO2. When you take those and put them back together into products that are organic products, that takes energy. So there's really just never been an incentive for an economic incentive, but most of this chemistry is well understood for a long time. And as always mentioned, there are existing, some of the most closest to economic technologies are enhanced concrete and enhanced cement additives, which use CO2 to make a better quality cement or a better quality concrete. And those technologies are, the people behind them are claiming they're economic right now today, that we turn CO2 into cement or concrete.
So there's a demand then, you think, in our economy or the future economy to do that then?
These products are being used all the time. Like, as I said, you can make toothpaste. You can take CO2. You could make toothpaste out of it. There's an online store here in Calgary that associated with the X Prize and COSIA that sells all kinds of products. There's online through Air Company, an absolutely pure vodka made from CO2. So what we don't stop to think about is Mother Nature's been recycling CO2 forever and turning into all kinds of valuable things. Like Mother Nature grows forests out of CO2. Less valuable as it made you and me from CO2, but it does make it makes all kinds of things, and we don't stop to think about the building block of CO2 is for anything that's organic. And we can take those natural processes and move them into a plant, and we can do it artificially. So if I was to just put it there, the issue I think we're having is that human activity is creating CO2 faster than Mother Nature recycles it. And so the solution, I think, is let's transform our energy system. Let's recycle it in industrial plants.
We're having a discussion with Mark Binion. He is president and CEO of Questerre Energy. I'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.